sexual reproduction. So what is the difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction? So initially we saw that it depends on the number of participants. Yeah. So other main differences are, here it involves the formation of gametes. The sexual reproduction involves the formation of gametes, that is both male and the female gametes, either by the same individual, that is from the same individual, or from the different individuals, or of the different sex. Okay, so the main difference is, here there occurs a formation of gametes. Sexual reproduction involves the formation of gametes, but in asexual reproduction there is no formation of gametes, and it results in offspring that are not identical to the parents. So because here it involves the two parents or the two gametes, that is male and the female gametes, they fuse in the case of sexual reproduction, so they are not identical to the parents or among themselves. So it shows variation, and that is one of the main difference between the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction, that is they show variation. It is an elaborate, complex and slow process as compared to that of asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is more faster and rapid and results in the production of more number of offspring, but here it is an elaborate and slow process as compared to that of asexual reproduction. And there occurs different phases in the growth of the organism. That is the period of growth to reach maturity for sexual reproduction is called the juvenile stage. So the initial stage is the juvenile stage, and in plants it is called the vegetative phase. The juvenile stage is called the vegetative phase in the case of plants, but in animals we'll call it as a juvenile phase. So from the birth to the growth to attain maturity, that is called the juvenile phase. So what will be the next phase? The next to the vegetative phase or the juvenile phase is the reproductive phase, right? So first there will be a growth, then there occurs a reproduction, and then senescent or the old age. So in higher plants, the flowering indicates the end of the vegetative phase. So the vegetative phase ends and then the reproductive phase begins, right? So in higher plants, flowering, whenever there occurs a formation of the flower, then it shows that the growth is done or the vegetative period is over, and it starts or it enters into the reproductive phase. So flowering indicates the end of the vegetative phase and beginning of the reproductive phase. So if you take the annual and the biennial, so what do you mean by annual and biennial? Annual means the plants which have that is their lifespan will be over in 1 year. That is, they'll grow, then reproduce and die within a 1 year or one particular season. And biennials, the lifespan will be for 2 years. So these annuals and the biennial plants, they show clear-cut vegetative, reproductive and senescent phases. So these three phases will be very clear in the case of annuals and the biennial plants. But if you take the perennial plants, that is they'll grow and reproduce, and then they'll produce flowers in many seasons, right? So they are perennial plants. So these phases are very difficult to identify in the case of perennial plants. That is vegetative, reproductive and senescent phases, they will not be seen clearly in perennial plants. Okay. But some plants, they exhibit unusual flowering. For example, if you take bamboo, they flower only once in their lifetime, that too after 50 to 100 years. So these type of flowers are called monocarpic flowers. Monocarpic flowers, that is, they flower only once. So it is called monocarpic. So if you see then what did we study? That is, there are three phases. One is the vegetative phase, and then the reproductive phase and the senescent phase. So this bamboo, so it has a larger vegetative phase, that is a period before the flowering. So they flower only after 50 to 100 years, right? So they are monocarpic flowers and the vegetative phase is very long. So they produce large number of fruits and then they die. And Strobilanthes kunthiana, so these flowers once in 12 years. Actually, you could have heard of it, the growth of this Strobilus kunthiana, right, in Kodaikanal and Wood and all. That is, they blossom only once in 12 years. So when you compare the different plants, their vegetative phase then reverse. That is, they differ in their length of the vegetative phase. That is before flowering. Because here the Strobilus kunthiana flowers only once in 12 years. Okay.